Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm finishing up some wine from Wine Down Wednesday and finally getting around to actually updating you guys on what I finished so far since the month began. Because it's been a while and I keep thinking I'm going to do a weekly update, and then 2 weeks have gone by and I didn't do a weekly update. Pretty soon it'll be 3 weeks and I still haven't done one. This is getting ridiculous. So, update. The 4 books in my thumbnail are actually the only physical books that I finished that I can show off. I finished 16 books so far this month. It is the 18th. And actually, the count will go up once I update my Goodreads to 17 books finished, because I just finished Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. So that's also one I don't own in print. Although I think I have in the past. Or maybe I have another one of his. But I did that one as an audiobook. It was really good. 4.5 stars. Yeah, so in addition to that, I finished 16 other books, of which 8 were NetGalley arcs. So that's part of why I don't have a lot to show off. 8 were NetGalley arcs. 4 were audiobooks that I don't have in print. And the other 4 were books that I can show you guys now. So actually a pretty good breakdown for what I've been aiming for. I was hoping to finish more NetGalley arcs last month for Tar, but that did not happen. So, yeah. And now I've got, I think, I might have 45 unfinished NetGalley arcs. So, I'd better keep the 50-50 split for the next 2 weeks. So the books that I finished in print, I started out actually with the first book I finished for July was book 3 in the Dune series. So Children of Dune by Frank Herbert. It's actually one of the skinniest books in the series. If you make it to book 3, it's not that hard. It does get a bit weird, and it really is sci-fi by this point. No more trekking in the desert and staying with nomads, and the nomads are still around and stuff, but it's really socio-political world building and sci-fi with creepy twins. They're a bit creepy, and their creepy mother, or no, their creepy aunt. Their mother is just scheming, but their aunt is the creepy one. Anyway, so it was good. I can see why not everyone who's started Dune is going to get to book 3, but I enjoyed it. It was a reread. It's been a while though since I read it the first time. The next book though in the Dune series, which I also finished the first week of July, was not a reread. This is always where I stall out. So this time I actually read it in its entirety. The God Emperor of Dune by Frank Herbert. That is in fact a dude and a worm that have merged and become one creature. And the little people are worshipping it. Yeah. So I won't tell you how that happens. That you find out that at near the end of Children of Dune. Although it doesn't sink in. And it's one of those things that it happens and you know you read it, but they don't make a big deal of it in book 3. By book 4, it's very important. So, yeah. So now I'm ready to start book 5. I'll probably do that this weekend. I do have it, and I have a whole stack of other Dune books as well. So there will be more Dune. I might finish them all this month. Some of them, like the House Atreides and House Carino and House Harkonnen, those might have to wait until next month. I finished Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. This is book 2 in the trilogy, the Live Ship trilogy, and I'm doing book 3 as an audiobook. I might have it somewhere on the shelves, but I don't know where, so I'm just doing it as audiobook. So I might have it to show you once I find it. But I'm not done with it yet. I'm 30%, somewhere in there. And then I finished Time of Death by Susan Wittig Albert. This is book 1 in the China Bayles murder mystery series. Set in Texas, China Bayles is a woman who used to work as a lawyer. She's still technically a lawyer if she wants to be. She's still, registered and all that. She just isn't practicing actively, which is not important in this first book. But I've read several books in the series, kind of not in any particular order. It's not my favorite Susan Wittig Albert series, but that might partly be because I keep reading them just randomly. So I'm trying from book 1, working all the way through, probably rereading some of them that I've read before. That way I know which ones I finished, because right now they're all just running together to where I don't remember which ones I haven't read yet. So this is the beginning of a project that shouldn't take very long, and they're not super skinny for murder mysteries, but they're pretty fast reads. And even though this is not my favorite of her series, it's still consistently 4-star books. So good, just not my all-time favorites. My all-time favorite series by Susan Wittig Albert is still the Darling Dahlias murder mysteries. They are set in the U.S. in the Deep South, right before, during, and after the Great Depression, and centers around the Darling Dahlias. They are a garden club of middle-class women, and so you get to see through the lens of these women all the changes that happen through these parts of American history, basically. And they also have recipes. There's one that I read as a library book that I'm definitely watching for it at free shelves, because it has really good pie recipes in the back, or at least they look really good. So I need to get that one for the recipes. But yeah, so that's the physical books I finished. The non-physical books I finished, I read The Arc of a Messy Murder by Simon Brett. He's another one of my favorite, just fast, fun murder mystery authors. And this one was the new, not yet out book in the decluttering mysteries. So tapping into that decluttering shtick that everybody is doing. The sleuth is an amateur sleuth. She's really just somebody who goes around and does decluttering for specifically hoarding situations. And their bodies sometimes, and sometimes it's to do with health problems related to the hoarding. More often than not, because it's a murder mystery series, there is a murder involved. So those are fun. And yeah, Simon Brett does some other fun series as well. My favorite is probably the Charles Paris series, which centers around a middle-aged man who works as an actor, just a run-of-the-mill actor in Britain, and taps into a lot of Simon Brett's own experience, because he used to work for the BBC, so he knows a lot of what it looks like behind the scenes in all this, and he has friends probably that still do it. So it's a really cool perspective worked into murder mysteries. Even though Charles Paris himself is one of those guys with a drinking problem and kind of curmudgeonly and kind of a type, and not my favorite type in murder mysteries. Anyway, that was fun. I also finished Murder on the Interstellar Express by Gregory D. Little. This was a 5-star read for me as an arc. I don't know when it's coming out, but it should be coming out soonish. Be nice if it did that on the mouse over. Anyway, so watch for Murder on the Interstellar Express. It was a really fun sci-fi, and Goodreads lists it as book 1. So I'm hoping that's true, because I could definitely see enjoying the second book in this series. And yes, if it shows up as a NetGalley arc, I will be putting in for it, because I definitely enjoyed this one. It is a murder mystery on a spaceship where the sleuth is someone who's been woken from cold storage, but she's kind of a bionic person, like she's not all human anymore. So she may not have been fully asleep, and that may be why she was woken up. Because some things are happening and the ship's computer can't handle it without people. And things continue to happen, and there are murders, and the ship's computer is always conveniently or inconveniently not able to see what's going on when things happen, and yeah, it's fun. So yeah, highly recommend. Probably my favorite arc this round. I also read We'll Prescribe You a Cat by Syou Ishida. This one was a 4-star read for me. It was cute, but it could have used being developed a little bit more, flesh out the stories a little bit. It was a little flat for me, but definitely cute. And I did have grumbles with a particular point in one of the stories where there's a kitten, and the people are like, oh, is this kitten adoptable? Or could we take this kitten? And the guy's like, oh, it's only a couple months old. It's not done weaning, and it can't be away from its mother yet. A couple months? As in, I think it was something like a 3-month-old kitten. Kittens wean starting at about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. So by 2 months, they are fully weaned. If they're not, there's something going on with food supply or something usually. So I was a little annoyed at that part. And I had kittens that were way younger than that kitten when I was reading it. Like, you guys are weaned. I don't know what he's talking about. So it's not maybe as well informed an author when it comes to some of the lore of cat rescue and cat stuff, but it's cute and it does involve cat rescue. So yeah, it was fun. 4 stars though. Then I read What the Wild Seas Can Be, a nonfiction book by Helen Scales, which was a 5-star read for me, but some of the other reviews did point out that they'd read other books by her and that they all seem kind of very similar and like rehashing the same things over and over again. So if you pick up this one, don't worry about reading all of her backlist unless you really want to, because it sounds like she's one of those where the most recent book might be the most recent information and might also recycle some of the early stuff from previous books. Which in nonfiction, it happens a lot, especially in science, where science advances and you update your book. So it's not unheard of. It's just annoying if you're trying to read all their backlist and their books just start repeating themselves. So yeah, just fair warning. But it was a good one, and I liked that in her chapters, each chapter she introduces a problem, something related to climate change or human interaction with the oceans and what problems we're causing. And so she'll introduce the problem, but then she also does talk about hopeful things that are going on, new technologies or new solutions that are working. So it's not just everything is going wrong. It's, here are some problems that we need to work on, and here are some ways that we can work on them. So I like that, because a lot of books in nonfiction climate change literature tend to be really depressing, and you get the feeling after the first few chapters that the world's just toast, and you might as well just give up and watch it burn kind of thing. So I liked that Helen Scales emphasizes that there are good things happening. And within climate change, the planet is warming. Some species aren't going to do so well, but there are species for whom their territory is expanding so that they're actually doing okay. And in fact, some species are doing better now that new space is opened up that they can move into. And their predators may no longer be around to eat them, so they do better, that kind of thing. So I like that it's a more balanced coverage of all the climate change related issues and pollution and everything with the oceans. So definitely good and not too hard to read if you are not a sciencey person. There's some jargon, but as far as I remember, it's all pretty well explained. So you don't need my degrees to get a lot out of her books. Anyway, so then I read The Rivals by Jane Pek. Jane Pek? I don't know. Jane Pek. This was a 4-star book. It was fun while I read it. And I probably would remember the entire thing as soon as I read the first chapter again. But it didn't stick with me very much. So it was fun. That's about it. I vaguely am starting to remember details, and that one actually I finished less than a week ago, so it's not one that really stuck with me. Might just not have resonated with me all that much, but not a bad book, not bad writing, just not a favorite. The Body in the Bookstore by Ellie Alexander. This is the last of the arcs I finished so far. This one was a frustrating book. I gave it 3 stars. I wanted to like it so much more because it's a murder mystery at a bookstore. And I love murder mysteries in bookstores. It's one of those where the writing style is not unreadable, but not very attracting. So the author alternates between info dumps and dialogue. Very little new information is presented in the dialogue. So it's just like filler dialogue, basically. And then you go back to info dump. And if there's any action that moves from one scene to the next, it happens off page. And we find out through the next info dump what has happened. That got annoying. And there may be just a stylistic thing that I don't vibe with that other people would like perfectly well. If you really like good dialogue, I don't know if it was good dialogue, but maybe that's something that would draw other people to this book. I just found it frustrating. So it was 3 stars. The murder didn't seem too terribly contrived, but by the time I got to the body, I was already not really disposed to like the book. So my least favorite out of the arcs that I read this month. I am in the middle of a couple right now. I started Alien Clay last month by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and I'm still working on that. I got distracted because I wanted to read it for a TAR prompt, because it is sci-fi. Adrian Tchaikovsky is one of the current big names in sci-fi. But I've never read anything by him, and I don't know if this is a continuation of a series, so I need to find out before I read it, so that if I want to read the series first, I can. So when it stopped working for a prompt, I gave up, and I'm reading it probably this month. I also have started Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret. Can you guess who this book is by? So this is an arc by Benjamin Stevenson. I read his book 2 in his series. I don't remember offhand the name of this series, but the one that starts out with everyone in my family has killed someone, and then Everyone on This Train is a Suspect was book 2. I got that one as a Goodreads giveaway. So this one I'm reading as a NetGalley arc. And I finished the first one as an audiobook off of my library's system. So each book in the series I'm consuming in a different way, which is kind of fun. So this one's going to be an ebook. The book 2 was actually in print that I finished it. So I don't know what other formats I could read it in if there's a book 4, but we'll find out, I guess. Then I got a book this week that I keep wanting to start. I probably will, called How to Fall in Love in the Time of Unnameable Disaster. I don't know what appeals to me about it, because I don't read romances as a rule, and the title makes me wonder, but it just seems interesting. So I'll probably read it this week and see what I think. I have Cree by Manuela Dreger. This is a sci-fi book, I think, as far as I can tell before reading it, that I was going to read for TAR and didn't get to, so I need to get to it soon. I have Life Lessons from a Parasite, which I think is nonfiction. I'm pretty sure that's where I got it from. So I'm thinking it's actually about parasites, which I do really like. Parasitology is fun, if a little bit gruesome. And then I have The Nature of Our Cities, which I've seen listed as a Goodreads giveaway, so I need to finish that soon. And Playground by Richard Powers. So those are kind of the next ones that I'm aiming to finish. I have a whole bunch of really good ones, though. The Woman Behind the Door by Roddy Doyle I still want to get to. And I did start There Are Rivers in the Sky. That may be the next one I actually focus on, by Elif Shafak. That's one that when I started it, quite a few people were like, oh, that sounds really good. They love the writing. And yes, this author writes really lovely text. So highly recommend so far. But I've only gotten in about 20%. So at least a 4-star just on the writing alone. It's lovely. And then the books that are not arcs and that I just did as audiobook, I did the Untitled books by C.J. Archer and The Dead Letter Delivery by C.J. Archer, books 3 and 4 in the Glass Library series. The Dallergut Dream Department Store by Miyeli. This one is really good, and after I read it, a whole bunch of people are reading it now, so there may even, by the time this goes up, be a buddy read in the works, because quite a few people want to read it now. And it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. Magical realism involving dreams. Yeah. And then I finished Starling House by Alix E. Harrow, which was a 4-star read for me. It was good and definitely creepy enough not to be listening to it in the middle of the night as a bedtime story. Yeah. And A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, which I liked a lot more than I liked The People in the Trees. So that's good. I think I still only gave it 4 stars, but it was good. So anyway, that's what I read so far in the month of July. I am doing the Tarot Readathon this month. I am Team Cups. So a lot of the books I'm reading right now fit our weekly card. The Significator card. So that's the one we get extra points for this week, if it matches. So yeah, I'm having fun with it. It's definitely more low-key than the previous readathons. And that's kind of a nice break. Next month I have 2 that I've signed up for that I'm on teams for. So I'll be doing Battleathon and Pick-Pongathon. So I will talk more about that as we get there. And right now, for the next couple weeks, I am prepping for and then running the Dewey's Readathon. So that comes up the 26th and 27th. It starts at 6 p.m. on Friday the 26th of July and runs through 6 p.m. on the 27th of July, also Eastern Time. So if you want to participate, there's no sign up. We're not on YouTube. We're on Facebook and Goodreads and Discord and Instagram and Twitter. So find us on those. If you want to sign up to be a co-moderator and host a couple hours of discussion questions on Goodreads, that's the only thing we still have that's a sign up. I might incorporate some new sign up things for October, but this one's always a bit smaller because this is our reverse readathon. What that means is that we start at 6 p.m. instead of 6 a.m., which means that while for me it's an all-nighter, because we start in the late afternoon here and we go through late afternoon the next day and through the night. That's a little tricky for some people, especially as we get older. Although I will be up all 24 hours if I can make it. I usually do. But it's really good for our European and Asian and African and Australian readers, for whom it's a much more advantageous time slot. So I'm hoping that we get a lot more of our folks from the other side of the planet on this one. I know I've seen some really excited people prepping for it. Some people are actually renting a cabin for the weekend and going all out. They'll do a spa and everything and just make a day of it. So I will be doing it all-nighter and pretty much living on social media and reading for 24 hours. That should be fun. So that's a week from tomorrow. Yeah. So, that's what I'm up to. And after this Dewey's Readathon is done, I have a few months that I can recover and be working on the next one. The next one will have a lot more work going into it just because it is one of our big ones. October is always much more participation. I'll put it that way. And so we do a lot more activities leading up to it. And, so this one's like Dewey's Readathon Light. So nice casual weekend books. Because I don't read all the time. Of course not. Anyway, so I will catch you guys in the next video. Or on sprints somewhere. I haven't yet been on camera for live sprints since Coda got his job. Or actually since he left for Texas and now he's got a job. So, I think he's got some sprints in the works for like a week evening sort of time slot. So if he's got sprints lined up or will soon, I'll probably join in on those. And then I've got a few other sprints friends that I might end up on camera at some point. So we'll see how it goes. So you'll probably see my face around, just not at Wednesday morning for a while. So, and if I ever get suitable internet that doesn't cut out all the time, that's why I don't do sprints of my own, because my internet, if you've seen how often I disappear on Coda sprints, imagine that being every time I host. That would be, I can't do that. So if I ever get better internet, then I will probably start hosting sprints, and I have some ideas of when I would host them. Not where I have to get up early in the morning. I don't do early in the morning. But I might, pick up some of those time slots after other people have gone to bed and there's no sprints left. I might be the next slot after some of those. So eventually I'll get my internet so that it works better, and that will happen. Anyway, hopefully you guys are having some great reading experiences. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've talked about or want to know more about them. And yeah, if you're going to be doing Deweys, let me know that as well, if you have any questions about it. And I will catch you guys in the next one. I'll put links for Deweys and the Tarot Readathon in the description. So that'll be there if you need them. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys!